The Walt Disney Company has finally announced that Tiana's Bayou Adventure will be in previews for the month of June. There's a big event on Juneteenth. I don't know if Disney will be recognizing that day, but what we do know is that if you want to ride this ride, if you want to be sure to ride this ride, you better be prepared to pony up for Genie Plus. Let's talk about the new pay-to-play system at Walt Disney World here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place, and here with me is my Wookiee co-pilot, Vash Sky, and also, I'm gonna say you're the General Dodonna of our group, Mr. WDW Pro.
Well, I'm definitely not the Madonna of the group, so I'm happy to get that one instead. Thank you, Jonas.
Or you could be Crix Nadine. We could go with Crix Nadine. We want to get into this story, though, out of Disney, a little website called the Disney Parks blog, an excellent place to go when you want to hear what Disney has to say about Disney. This story from Lori Vessig, Senior Manager, Communications, Walt Disney World Resorts. Everything to know before you drop into Tiana's Bayou Adventure at Walt Disney World. And there is Lewis with his little teeny tiny trumpet that he doesn't have lips, but somehow he's going to manage to play a trumpet. For those of you who know how to play the trumpet, I would love to know how he figures out how to do that one. Let the good times roll. Tiana has sent the invites out for her big Mardi Gras celebration. While the princess and her fun-loving friend Lewis are finishing up details on the party down in the bayou, you are probably wondering what to wear, what to bring, and how you should prepare for an exhilarating musical adventure that crescendos with a 50-foot drop right before the grandest celebration this side of the Mississippi. Well, don't fret. I've got a few helpful hints you need to know before riding Tiana's Bayou Adventure when the attraction opens on June 28th.
Can I just ask, how many attractions do people wonder what to wear, bring, and prepare for? I wasn't aware that this was a thing. Do all of the attractions require these sorts of pre-planning?
I mean, Splash Mountain, as a native Floridian who has ridden on Splash Mountain, the ride that they destroyed in order to bring in this attraction here. I'll save my words for later on that one. I generally recommend riding Splash towards the end of the day, just in case you get water all over you there, because you're going to be walking around in the Florida heat. So
here's a secret tip for everybody out there, Jonas. You don't have to wear a poncho unless they've changed the water cannons. What I don't think they have. When you get to the bottom, just right at the bottom, just lower your head, bend over a little bit, and the water will go flying onto the person behind you. It's a great trick for families and strangers, even better, because they can't be angry with you after you run away from the attraction after.
That's a very good point. Oh man, Splash Mountain is such good memories for me. So it's a tragedy that they were replacing it, and also not giving Tiana the ride she probably deserves. But
lean into sharing that H2O, folks. Lean into it.
Indeed. It's also the first time I've seen them acknowledge the 50-foot drop there. That's interesting.
That's a very good point, and they've just finally added those signs onto the
ride. Well, the co-op wasn't driving the crowds. So they had to start saying, "Hey, by the way, it's still a log flume. There's still something fun about it. It's not just a socialist experiment."
Not a restaurant, folks.
They haven't really talked about that socialist aspect for a while now. Now they're talking about how she's going to go around and she's going to be getting her bandmates, and for some reason she's in a safari hat and pants, even though she's a woman of the 1920s. So
But Jonas, isn't it interesting that at the same time they want to push this socialist thing, they are fully embracing capitalism when it comes to dislodging the dollars from your wallet for this attraction.
Exactly. Oh, that's so perfect. And that's the segue to what we're going to be talking about. This is a two-step here. First, we're going to talk about why you aren't going to be getting onto this ride, and then we're going to be talking about how you are going to be getting onto this ride. First, drop on in to Virtual Queue. When Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens on June 28th, it will use a virtual queue. Guests can request, emphasis on request, to join the virtual queue via the My Disney Experience app. Already we have two specific terms here, virtual queue and My Disney Experience app, at one of two times, 7 a.m., so you better be getting up early, or 1 p.m. when everyone else is awake. While a standby queue, there's another specific Disney term, will not be available during the attraction's initial opening days. We expect to open a standby queue soon after the attraction's opening. Visit virtualqueue.com and blah, 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 blah. So,
i.e., they're going to do this, I think, till later in July, because their hand is sort of forced here. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is going down very soon after Tiana's Bayou Adventure opens. And due to the way that both of those rides handle queue lines, it's really hard for them to keep going with just a virtual queue, because essentially Frontierland will just be empty at that point. If you have only virtual queues and Lightning Lane for Tiana's, and you don't have Big Thunder, and you don't have Country Bear, Frontierland will be empty. And that will throw off all of the other wait times. It's not because they just suddenly had this sense of we should give back to the guests. We should really give them a benefit here. No, they're not that magnanimous.
Well, just on that idea of Frontierland being shut down, the shooting gallery is being shut down as well. So that is being replaced with a DVC lounge, which is the Walt Disney Company's way of saying that we have no idea what to put in this space. Of course, Country Bear.
They should put the Polynesian DVC edition in there, and you could just shoot it. No, I joke, folks. I joke.
It's a high capacity attraction, so there's not necessarily a reason to do a virtual queue for that long. That's the other thing as well.
We'll explain why in a minute, Vash. We'll tell you why they're doing that virtual queue.
I get why they're doing it. I mean, it makes sense, but I'm just saying there's a reason in which they don't have to necessarily do it for that long, and also too, it requires a lot of cast members in order to pull this off. Probably a labor thing.
Hey, question, Jonas. If they're doing a virtual queue, do they have to post a wait time?
No, they do not.
So if there's not huge demand like they're expecting, they'd never have to admit that, right?
Right. And also that was the problem with Moana: Journey of Water as well. There was a long line for the first day and then completely empty lines the second day. That's not a That Park Place story, by the way. Other people that cover the parks on a frequent basis knew that line was empty and reported on that line being empty. So before you think it's just a cynical folks, the cynical thing that I want to say is that the virtual queue is essentially a lottery system. So you have shown up. Let's say you show up to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure and you don't know all the arcana that you have to know in order to enjoy a Disney stay, a stay at the Disney World Resort.
You mean you're still using verbiage like Fast Pass?
Right. As you might imagine, a grandparent who just wants to, let's say they're funding the trip and they want to go, but they don't know, and they've paid for someone else to do the planning. They show up on that day and they find out, oh, well, we need to get enough lottery spaces for, let's say, a family of, let's say it's a big group. Let's say it's 12. Well, if they want to get into this ride, they might be out of luck because someone has to get up at 7. And then you have to make sure that everyone is synced up on the app and everyone is in your party on the app. And if that doesn't work at 7 a.m., well, you're out of luck. Or by the way, if the Wi-Fi isn't working and let's hope that you are not in the middle of check-in or something like that at 7 a.m. At 1 p.m., everyone is awake. Hopefully you fixed all of your issues because there's no way to do a test run on that app to make sure you've got all your party members. And you could lose out again at 1 p.m. Or how much money do you have on you? Because number 2 is...
Well, that's what they really want to ask, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Or you could use the Disney Genie Plus service. Tiana's ruining 2 great names there with the name of that service there. Tiana's Bayou Adventure will also be included as a Lightning Lane. So we've added 2 more terms here, Disney Genie Plus and Lightning Lane, in the Disney Genie Plus service. Purchasing, emphasis on purchasing this service on the My Disney Experience app helps you to get some of your favorite attractions faster through Lightning Lane entrances and includes digital downloads of select Disney PhotoPass. There's another apocryphal term. Attraction photos taken in the park on the day of your purchase at no additional charge. Oh, that's good that you can keep track of your PhotoPass for no additional charge. Guests may check the app on the day of their visit for pricing and availability. The last time that we checked, Disney's Genie Plus varied between $20 to $30 a day per ticket. So if you want to be sure to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure, if you're one of those heavy users, if you're one of those whales, as Disney marketing might refer to you, you're going to have to...
How dare they? How dare they speak about girth?
You're going to have to, by the way, that's another good thing about Splash Mountain. There's no seatbelts on that thing, so you can fit quite a few people in those logs right next to each other. But $30 a per person, per ticket, per day in order to get you to go on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Is this a blatant pay-to-play system here? Is this nickel and diming guests? Please, Pro, Vash, what do you think about this?
Well, I'll be brief, and then Vash, you hop in, but briefly, one of the things at play here is the fact that they can change the number of people who get in via the virtual queue. That's not a publicly released number, so they can alter that any way they want to try to generate more money and to make it feel like it's more crowded than it is. And, this really protects Disney from a number of things. It protects them from embarrassment but it also protects them from any kind of complaints when it comes to wait times, because if they're generating as much money as they can off of this from the vloggers and bloggers who will flood the parks, hoping to get the views and the readership off of early access, that can cause families to have a bad time. So that protects them from this one as well. So there's good and there's bad to it. But I would say that if this goes on for weeks as opposed to 1 or 2 days, then that's when people have a real, I think, opportunity to complain about it, because at that point, Disney is just nickel and diming people for an attraction that isn't really brand new. It's just a reskin track.
And by the way, that's one of the reasons that this attraction was still allowed to build while the Siftod Reedy Creek situation was still going on, because they essentially, other than installing some animatronics, they did nothing to modify the actual ride system of this ride. The most changes they made to the vehicles is they removed Brer Rabbit from the logs and did a little bit of iffy patchwork on there to hope people don't notice the discolored part of the log on there.
By the way, Vash, I still have a ticket. It's actually sitting on my desk in my studio. A Splash Mountain Fast Pass from 2010. And these used to be free. I don't know what happened. Something changed at Disney parks, but you used to get these for free and ride multiple attractions every day, skipping the line. It worked out great.
Right. I mean, that was the great thing about the Fast Pass system, is that you get this little piece of paper like you have to go and get, and it tells you exactly when to come by, and it's this nice little memento if you don't actually use it. And it felt good. It felt different from the other systems available, especially at the time, like Flash Pass and everything else. But I'm going to disagree with you a little bit here, Pro. I think a lot of this is demand based for Disney. I don't think this is necessarily a choice. I think their hands are forced in some cases. Now, look, if there's a bunch of demand for this attraction, then I can see this virtual queue sticking around. But if there's not, well, then I can't see it sticking around longer than it necessarily needs to. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to watch how this VQ is implemented, in that it could stay on for a couple days, could stay on for a couple of weeks, could stay on for a couple of months. It's all going to depend on the demand for this attraction. And for what we've seen already, there's this article by Mike from Blog Mickey talking about how, hey, it's annual pass holders. It's still available, folks. You can go ahead and pre-register, and you can get right on. It's never been easier. And it's like, why is availability still there? You would think that it would have filled up by this time for Walt Disney World's greatest newest attraction, and the only one they're going to have new for a couple of years. But
Vash, play around with this idea then. If that's the case, that they can't even fill this thing with AP holders, then are their hands really tied, or is this sort of a cynical scheme to get people to pay money for this attraction?
Well, I do hear they're also going to be pumping the smell of beignets into the queue.
They could be, yes.
Well, you're not going to be able to smell those beignets when you're actually registering for the VQ at 7 a.m. in the morning while you're in your hotel. And
that's a better smell, by the way, than many people anticipate when they see the backside of Tafiti. Beignets is a definite benefit compared to what could be.
Bro, we said we weren't going to make that joke. Oh,
I didn't say... Jonas, I can't believe you would think I was talking about that.
No. An endless stream of logs and water. All right, but that being said, we want to throw this to our commenters. Will you be paying to skip the line here or get into the line at Tiana's Bayou Adventure when it opens? Or would you rather just ride Splash Mountain over and over and over again? You could do that at Tokyo Disneyland for now. Whether or not Bob Iger has his way. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the end of this video. If you did, maybe you might be the kind of person who likes to like videos. If you do, then like this video. And of course, consider subscribing to That Park Plays for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.